I don't know what to say. Intrepid, you done fucked up. And I'm so tired of this happening. Every time I think people have loosened the purse strings and decided to emotionally and monetarily invest in an MMO, something like this fucking happens. All right, let's see.
Intrepid has a unique history. On one side, there's a level of financial independence that is not predicated, that has not historically been predicated on our engagement within the investing ecosphere of gaming. Here we go.
Are we completely out of money? Are we broke, Dad?
No, we're not broke.
We're not broke, chat. You heard it here first. We're still going.
Yeah, that. You saw that pause. I didn't want to believe it, man. I thought that Narc and other people, NARC, he used to cover this game for like 5-6 years, the Copium guy. I wanted to believe this game was coming out. Other people saw it coming before I did.
The Steam launch will be terrible. It's all coming to an end. Coming to an end. Coming to an end.
So there's interesting news here, and he's probably going to mention it, about that early access coming out right before he pulled the rug.
I think
3.2 million Kickstarter implodes just 2 months after launching as dev resigns in protest. Yeah, not in protest.
I think that the traditional way of making MMOs seems to not work anymore. I don't know if traditional MMOs are ever going to be a thing again. Maybe there's like a middle ground that people can explore to kind of...
I'm saying this now. Someone needs to listen. Make a damn open world sandbox MMO where it mirrors Shadowbane. I know it wasn't a super successful game, but that's because it was click to move combat. And it was a little bit buggy, and it was Ultima Online inspired. But what was good about it can be transferred to now and then modernized. What was good about it was it didn't cost much to make because it was just races and classes and a character sheet that players can fill out. Meaning you got your skill points, you got your stat points, you choose your races and your subclasses, and then actually the 4 subclasses that you picked, or 3 subclasses that you picked, were in giant mobs that you had to fight over that spawned every 6 hours. Make things for people to fight over. Let them build their own cities. Let them destroy other people's cities. Let them go to war. Let the PvP be pretty high risk versus reward. And I'm telling you, it won't be as toxic as people think. I had more... This is a game where people could kill you and take everything on your person that wasn't equipped, including your gold. Yes, you could bank stuff. You go home, you bank it, and you go back out and you farm more. But A, the leveling is really fast. So it wasn't hard to pick up your pick up your belt and start again. And B, you could bank stuff. And there was a little bit of terraforming, and there was siege warfare. You have that, and you have modern combat. No quests, no stories, and maybe a reset every 6 months, kind of like Crowfall was supposed to do. And now you have an MMO where the players create the content constantly. They create the drama, they create the meta, they create the reason for going out in the world. And you don't have to put money into anything else, just tons of character freedom so they can make interesting things on their own and make friends and go, add a little bit of, a tiny bit of survival-esque RPG stuff, like gathering. But and then the time and the cost to make this MMO goes way down. And all you do is spend all your effort on the combat, the atmosphere, and the number of races and classes and character freedom and player freedom, and the siege warfare, however you want to do it. And you have a beautiful game. You have a niche game, but a lot of people will join. And I'm telling you, you have a couple safe holds, You have a couple rules that are on different servers, so that each server is slightly different. You know, like rules where guilds can only be created in one way or the other. Like, there's some good stuff Shadowbane had. That's why it has an emulator 30 years later that people are still playing it. I'm going to just get back into Shadowbane. Everything else is trash. Anyway, let's follow along. Sorry, I digressed.
Bring that back, but you know, it's really hard, especially after all these failures. It's hard to see
Yep. So many failures.
that coming back. And unless there's a big one in stealth somewhere, like, I don't think we're going to be seeing any new ones anytime soon. 10 years ago, I felt the exact same way I do today, which is I'd love a new MMO. And it's been 10 years and I feel the exact same way. But basically, a lot of people like me were like, okay, you know, let's see what you got. I think I was a 250, 500 backer. And I think what happened at that point is a lot of us kind of just kept getting the updates in the mail, kind of followed along with it. And for the last 9 years, it's just been making very slow progress.
It's
very slow progress.
All the progress was faked. It could have been done in like months. Like, it was so obvious. Oh my God.
And on top of that, you know, there's been multiple times when the progress has not really been in the great directions. And I'm actually I read the subreddit all the time, so you know, I kind of keep the pulse of what changes are working, what aren't. There's been huge schisms in like the PvP player base versus the kind of casual, and it's gotten a little bit, especially in the later years, a little more salty in there. Cut to more recently, they announced that they're releasing an early access on Steam, and that for the majority of AOC people was
Everybody said it's not ready immediately, and this is when I knew. This is when I knew you done fucked up, and you're reaching for money.
the like one of the bigger red flags that they could do, because they had made it very clear in the past that they were not going to be doing anything like that. The idea of charging for the unfinished product was not good. They had a set amount of goals they wanted to meet before deployment like that. And then it comes out, and that was what? Not long ago at all. So the game comes out on Steam, really negative reviews, for good reasons, but apparently it's selling and it's chugging along. So then everything is kind of moving along, and then last night we are told, like,
I can make a limited statement in my personal capacity and not on behalf of the company regarding the situation. Control of the company shifted away from me, and the board began directing actions that I could not ethically agree with or carry out. As a result, I choose to resign in protest rather than lend my name or authority to decisions I could not ethically support. Following my resignation, much of the senior leadership team resigned. Following these departures, the board made the decision to issue WARN Act notices and proceed with mass layoffs. They did it. I cannot responsibly speak to further details at this time due to ongoing legal and governance matters. What I can say is that the developers and staff acted in good faith and deserved better than the uncertainty they are now facing. I am incredibly dismayed at the situation. Stephen Sharif. Bullshit. 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 Sorry, guys. That cold's still around. That virus.
real big bombshells. Greg Griffin said Ashes of Creation is falling apart. Oh, no, that's not true. It's already completely fallen apart. It's gone.
I thought he was gonna cope. He knew. Good old Co.
It's dead. Yep. Unfortunately, it is gone. AOC is DOA. Bad leadership is what it looks like. It looks like what happened is that the leadership was not only not transparent with the team and consumers, but also...
I would love to be a project manager of an MMO. In another life. I don't need the coding. I need the, hey, these are the systems we want in. These are the only systems we're doing. Where are the people that make these systems? And then get the funding and then push that game out in 2 years. You just need a good engine. You just need everything I said earlier. And focus. And then maybe if I'm really lucky, I could do the voice work. Who knows?
Was doing things behind the scenes where it sounds like in their mind they thought it was fine, but in reality it really wasn't. And what I mean by that is, like, apparently at one point they decided that to keep the project going, they should cede control of it and didn't tell anyone, apparently. And then it turns out the people they ceded control to, they had ethical differences with.
What if a game only had so many character models and heroes, but also you had complete freedom? So something like, you know, like there are champions in League of Legends, and Talon is the assassin, but you still get to choose the skill points and the attribute points and the weapon skills and everything. Would that work? I don't know. I don't know, man.
Which was, you know, that's another, and then essentially he quit.
That way you could do like voice work for each archetype, and you could do really good animations and attacks and abilities for each archetype, and just make like a limited action set like WildStar. So you can choose how strong, and you can choose how to buff and change each ability. And let's say there's 20 abilities, but you can only put 5 on your bar or 6 on your bar. And that way there's lots of different builds. And the balance team just has to work on making sure that the stat points that you apply, the skill points that you apply, the buffs and the passives that you apply to each ability that you decide to put on your bar are all strong and all very varied.
And cut and ran. So
this is where people should actually focus on a game. And if you want to create like art and story, you create it with atmosphere, not with quest lines, not with dialogue, just pure atmosphere and dungeon design or area design. That way people like wandering around. And you make a world with very, very, very limited fast travel. Make it tied, like Shadowbane did, to characters or players' terraformed cities that they make, and they have to put a lot of resources into it, and they decide who the fast travel is open to, what guilds or what subsets of players. That way there's drama and politics in the game.
Well, I say cut and ran. We don't know if he's run yet, but he certainly has cut.
Yes.
So we know the cutting is there, but we don't know about the running yet. That's a shame. I was looking forward to AOC. Dude, I was a Kickstarter backer of AOC. I think there was a time when that MMO really could have been the next big thing. But I think, and this is all just me guessing, but from the
We've been saying that for 20 years. I think this was going to be the next big thing. Crowfail was going to be the next big thing. Ashes of Creation, Arcage, like there were so many. Even the, you know, like the Western version of Black Desert.
looks of it, at some point during development,
I'm 3 minutes into the video, guys. I got to get through this. Jesus.
they learned that they were not going to be able to finish the game, and that and then when that was kind of fundamentally learned, they started making some really shady decisions. And what I mean by that is man, it is starting to look really, really bad about this play to Steam. Like the fact that the project crashed as quickly as it did means that there was probably a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes for a long.
They just wanted more non-refundable money to take and not give to the employees.
Longer period of time, and the fact that the game released on Steam, sold a bunch of copies, and then the day before they had to pay the rest of their team on the 30th, and that's also the day they got their Steam payment, they cut the team the next day. So the optics of this are disgusting. The optics of this are like just it is horrible. It is horrible. Yeah, it's a bad look. I mean, we don't know all the details yet, but it's a bad look. Horrible look. I think probably the biggest issue here, and this is where things really get complicated, because here's, as many will tell you, I love game dev and I do my best to fight for the side of the game dev. You know, if I think they're,
It's hard to do lately with the amount of rug pulling, with the amount of cutting and running, and with the amount of overly woke bullshit in game development lately, and then the way journalists are on the side of the wrong game developers always. There's just, the face of game development is awful. Welcome to Highguard.
there's any reason that there's like some good reason to really, you know, some good truth in there about something, I'll try
I'm laughing because I don't want to cry.
to find it and I'll try to fight for it. When this project started, I think that it was a project that they really wanted to succeed and that they wanted to make work. But I cannot in good conscience say, after the Steam thing and then this message, dude, at some point this became a scam. At some point,
I mean, don't forget the guy, had his back pocket in multi-level marketing schemes in the past. Like in the back of his mind, somewhere, Sharif said, I can always just ask for a bunch of money and run.
Decision was made and the project flipped from being like, we're going to try to get this MMO out to we need to get as many finances recouped as possible. And the part here that is so unfortunate is it's like, was that before the decision was to go to Steam? Was the whole plan to launch on Steam so they then would not have to pay back Kickstarter backers and could get a last ditch amount of money? All of this starts to get real dark. And it's the kind of thing where it's like, are we making sure Steven is like staying in the country? I confirmed this with my chat today, and I don't know if this has changed. And if someone in chat, please tell me if this is different. From what I understand, at no point until yesterday had Steven ever been public about the company going away from under his umbrella in.
I just wish I had those kind of connections where I find a earnest content creator that's wealthy, that loves MMOs, that wants to create something. I think like, I don't know if they're this case. I get that vibe from the Profane guys, but I don't know. They're out in Brazil or somewhere in Latin America, and they're making a PvP oriented one. But again, they got a very generic engine. They got a long dev cycle time, and I'm following their tests, and maybe it's going to be something, but I'm too beat down by all the other failures along the way. But if I could find someone who had the finances, the right connections, and they need a project manager to keep them focused, a proper focus. That would I know I'm talking about this and it's silly, but it's been a dream of mine to be attached to something like that. Anyway.
Any capacity. So if I'm understanding this right, his message last night was the first time anyone heard that he no longer controlled the company. He actually put up, the guy's name is Steven Sharif. He actually did put up a reply, I think on the Discord. And when somebody was asking for more information, he basically said, you will get more information in the court filings. So I guess that means either he is going after the board or the board is going after him, one or the other. So I guess
it would be nice to see if Steven Sharif is actually of earnest intent, and I'm wrong.
We'll see what's going on there. But yeah, I mean, we need all the before we start like really assigning blame. We need all the details, and we don't have all the details.
True.
That needs to be said first. So I again, it just bad on not good on worse. It just keeps getting worse. So we'll see. I mean, there's a world where Steven goes public and says, no, the game didn't actually come out. We're still refunding all the Kickstarters, et cetera, et cetera. There's a world where, you know, maybe we just don't have the info and maybe he really did get screwed by people that, you know, maybe, but we'll see. This is the part of the discussion where we say we need the details and we don't have the details. And that's important to mention. So, but I'm sure we'll find out soon. I mean, considering they're going to be telling us through court filings what's going on. I'm assuming that means it's going to be public and probably pretty nasty. But what's also really strange is, who is the board? Like, we have the name of like a literal person that was convicted of fraud that he gave the company to. And it's just like, is that the board? Did he, like, what is happening? It's so strange. I don't know.
I need to look into that afterwards. I knew that he was the only person on the board and his husband was the CFO. And that's it. So I need to look into this new information that they gave away the company to a fraudster. Gave away?
It's such a weird situation. And that makes it even weirder because if it
That smacks of money laundering.
turns out the board is just him and his, I don't know, his business partner, friend, I'm not sure who it is, but it was like him and one other person. If it does turn out that the board is just him and this other person who worked for the company, then is he really trying to legitimately say that the other person is who forced the company to shut down when he was part of the company? That makes no sense either. So that, like, all of the options we have right now don't really make sense if you think about it. So I don't know. But yeah, TLDR, and the last thing I'm going to say on it, it is one of the messiest.
Just realized that the only video I'm wearing a toucan. I'm reacting to a Ko video. It wasn't intentional. I'm a Canadian. It's cold here. Okay, check the plaid reversible winter vest.
Project conclusions we've seen in a long time. I mean, you could not write a movie script.
Bearded glass wearing toque white guy reacts to bearded glass wearing toque white guy.
Based on how weird this has gotten, like, and there's a good chance it's going to get weirder.
I don't know, guys. think. That's all I have to say about that. Fuck it. Someone come find me. I promise you I'll put together a good game. Anyway, we're fucked. I'll be 80 before anything comes out. Peace.